Hi, and welcome back to the channel on the college process. Once again, my name is Ed Zamora from Principia Prep, and today we're going to be going over the alumni interviews. But before we start, if you are looking for additional college content, please hit the subscription button below. It will notify you of new videos coming out. And if you do enjoy today's video, please leave us a like. It does help the channel. That being said, let's begin talking about the alumni interviews. Now, when it comes to interviews being offered by the colleges, typically they're going to offer you either an alumni interview or an admissions officer interview, also known as the official interview. For this video, we're going to be covering the alumni interview only. We will cover the official interview, or I guess the admissions officer interview, in another video very shortly, coming up maybe in another week or two. Now, when it comes to the alumni interview, they are usually done by alumni that live within the town or somewhere near the same area where you live. These are the most common of the two different interviews, and for that reason, unfortunately, it doesn't hold as much weight, unfortunately, in the admissions process. However, I would not utilize this as a reason not to do the alumni interview, because doing an alumni interview does show demonstrated interest, which is very helpful for the top tier schools, the more competitive colleges, essentially the dream schools you might be considering. So showing any demonstrated interest does help because it shows them you're going out there and doing whatever you can to learn about as much about the university and utilize all the resources they have to learn as much as you can about what's offered by that college. Now, while it might not have as much weight as your class rigor or the AP classes or honors or your test or your GPA, another reason I'm looking to do the alumni interview is because you never know what the alumni is going to do as far as the write-up. They could write something that actually stands out in the world of admissions, in the eye of the admissions officer, and maybe that's what pushes you into the university. Now, when it comes to the alumni interviews, there's really only a few reasons why I wouldn't do one. The number one reason I wouldn't do it if your student's looking at a safety school. So if you already know they're going to get into this university, it probably doesn't make sense to do the alumni interview unless a student's looking for additional content, resources. The other reason I wouldn't do an alumni interview is if the student doesn't feel comfortable doing an interview, or if for any reason we feel it's going to be a hindrance for them to do an interview in the application process for admissions. Those are the only reasons I wouldn't do an alumni interview. Now, if you're considering not doing an interview based on nervousness or fear, then I would advise a student a very easy way to kind of get around the fear or nervousness. And that's to look at your school list, figure out which schools are your safety schools, and contact those universities and ask them if they can do an interview with you as well. That way, what you do is you do your safety school interviews, one or two of them, get them out of the way. That way you get a better sense, kind of a feel what the interview process will be like. That way your student is prepared and they feel more comfortable in that setting. At that point in time, then I would go back and do the alumni interview for the other college, maybe the target school or the dream school you were considering, because now you have a couple interviews under your belt, so you feel a lot more comfortable. So where do these interviews typically take place? Well, usually they take place at either the alumni's office or in some cases something local like a library or Starbucks or Panera. Now I say they usually because obviously nowadays we're not in a usual scenario. So more than likely the interview you're going to be doing will be done either through Skype, Zoom, FaceTime, or in some cases by conference call. So why do the universities use alumni to do interviews? Well, it comes down to a few factors. The first reason is because it makes it easier and it's also cost effective. There's only so many admissions officers out there, and there's a lot of different students out there. They're looking for as much information about the universities as possible. So having people that the university, through the alumni relations they have, set up or do some training with them to kind of give them a guidelines of what they need to be doing throughout the interview process allows them to kind of free up the admissions officers to do other things. Another reason they do it is because it gives the alumni a sense of involvement. It helps get them involved with the whole process, the alumni to get a sense of the day-to-day operations, to kind of feel like they're helping out the university. And then lastly, the college gets to get a different perspective of the student from somebody else outside of the admissions circle. So in a sense, the admissions interview is helpful for both sides, for both parties, the admissions office of the university as well as the alumni helping out. So how should you dress? That's one of the questions we often get here when you're doing the interview. And what should you expect of the interview now that things have kind of changed rather than being in a face-to-face setting? Now that it's kind of like a Zoom meeting or something online or over the phone. Well, right off the bat, you should dress business casual. You don't have to get all dressed up for these interviews, but you also don't want to come in or be on a Skype or a Zoom meeting wearing a t-shirt and shorts. You want to be professional either way. Now, the conversation you have with this individual will be casual. Usually the alumni will be provided either questions by the admissions office or has been trained to know what kind of questions to ask you to kind of help them with the write-up that they're doing for you as far as the interview is concerned. Now, the interesting thing is, and something you should think about too as well, as when you're doing this interview with the alumni person, they don't have access, more than likely they will not have access to your grades, your test scores, the classes you've taken, your academic profile point of view. So don't go in there being nervous based on maybe you don't have the right grades or the right test scores or the right class rigor or the right class rank per se. That is irrelevant. These people will not know this information. But what if you are nervous, even with you doing other interviews or you knowing they don't know your grades and everything else? Well, very simple. The first thing you need to do when you figure out who your alumni interviewer is start doing research on them. So in a sense, you're leveling the playing field. Once you have their name and some contact information, you can start doing things like looking at them through Google, Facebook, LinkedIn. These allow you to basically gather more information about the person interviewing you. Where do they live? Where have they lived? Besides the college connection that you guys have in a sense, what else do you have as far as things you can relate to them as you're speaking to them? Is there certain hobbies or sports they're into? All these different websites, these social media pages should provide you with at least a decent understanding of what this individual is like so that when you go in there, you kind of know who you're dealing with. Also, if you kind of want to humanize the environment, I tell students to do this all the time. As soon as you start talking to the person, just say to them, this is my dream school. This is where I want to go. I wanted to go here forever and ever and ever. I'm really nervous for my first interview. By saying that, they're going to be even more on your side than they were before the interview even started. Also, another way to kind of level the playing field, come there with questions to ask them. You can even come with a notepad with the questions written down or a notepad to have available with you so you can actually write down all the answers they give you. You want to make this more of a casual conversation back and forth rather than like a job interview or an interrogation. So that's what the benefit of having the questions is. You can go back and forth asking each other different questions. A free-flowing conversation is the key here. And with the questions, you can do that. Now, no matter which college you do an interview with, as far as the alumni interview or the official interview, be ready to answer the why question. And the why question is essentially why you to that university, or why does a university appeal to you? If you can answer these questions, you're in great shape, because this is by far the most important question you're going to be asked of the interviewer. Now, they're not going to directly ask you why. They're going to basically circumvent that question within the talking points and the casual conversation they have with you. Now, saying things such as, it's a tough college, or it's ranked number X on Newsweek are not good answers. You want to do your research and figure out why is it that you're so interested in the school and why do you think you are a good fit for that college as well. It could be because you find a course that they have there or a major or professor fascinating as far as their research and everything else they do, and you want to learn more about it and you want to be immersed within that environment. You could also say it's because of the advanced sciences or the bio program. Maybe it's because they have an amazing co-op or study abroad program. These are things you want to talk to the alumni about of the reasons why this is where you need to be and the reasons why you should be there. The more you dive into the research, the better your interview is going to be. And also, the more information and research that you do, the better off you'll be because you'll have more information about that college. Now, when it comes to the interviewer, remember, the person is on your side. So be polite, be inquisitive, be engaging, and more than anything, be on time. In fact, be early. Remember, this person is taking time away from their day, their life to help you out. Most alumni want to get you into the college. Sure, not everyone who does the alumni interviews will get accepted, but utilize their time and effort to help your cause. Now, note these interviews typically take anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. Now, if your interview runs longer, that typically is a good sign. If it runs less than that, it doesn't mean you bombed it. It just means it was a quick interview, good, bad, or indifferent. If you feel comfortable with it, then you're in good shape. Now, once the interview is done, make sure to thank the individual for taking the time to do the interview with you, as well as when you get home, write them a nice email letting them know that you appreciate the time they spent with you to help you out throughout the process. Every one of these little steps that humanizes the environment, from the email helping them out, to letting them know about the college and why you're interested in them, and doing the research, and doing the alumni interview to show demonstrated interest, will help your cause. That being said, if you do have additional questions or you are looking for additional help, on the screen here you see our contact information. You can give us a call or shoot us an email if you have any questions throughout the process of college, whatever it may be, whether it be essays or interviews or college selection or even financial aid forms. Please reach out. Also, if you like, we do have a newsletter that goes out every month. If you'd like to receive the newsletter, all you need to do is email us send us an email letting us know what high school you're from, what grade level the student is in, because the newsletter we send out that goes out each month is grade specific. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the subscription button to be notified of additional videos, and also leave us a like. It does help our channel. That being said, once again, my name is Ed Zamora from Principia Prep. Thank you for watching our video.